In the name of Allah. Hello. Kaaba. Kaaba, the Qibla of Muslims and the holiest place on earth for them. Muslim scholars have considered the Kaaba as the first place for everyone to worship and assigned to direct man to God. This building is located in Masjid al-Haram in Mecca. Muslims must pray facing the Kaaba, and pilgrims must circumambulate around the Kaaba during Hajj. In the sanctuary of Kaaba, no one has the right to attack humans or animals. Imam Ali was born in Kaaba. According to the popular opinion among Shiite scholars, according to traditions, the Kaaba was built before Abraham, during the period of Adam, and even according to some, before the creation of Adam. Of course, there is a group against this theory and attribute the original building of the Kaaba to Abraham. 5 years before the Prophet of Islam, the Kaaba was destroyed due to a flood. Quraysh rebuilt it completely and for the first time, built a roof and gutters for it. In 64 and 1040 AD, the entire Kaaba was rebuilt. In the contemporary period, the Kaaba has been restored and its roof and columns have been restored. Inside the Kaaba, there is a small room with a staircase to go to the roof of the Kaaba. This room has a small door that is called Bab al-Tawbah. Kaaba has 4 pillars. Ran Hajar al-Aswad is more famous because Hajar al-Aswad is placed in it and Tawaf starts from there. Muslims consider the Kaaba to be the holiest place on earth, the first house of monotheism and the symbol of monotheism. The Quran called it a blessed house, and the reason for that is that it is a means of guidance, solidarity, and closeness to God. Based on traditions, Imam Ali has introduced the Kaaba as a flag for Islam. Imam Sadiq considered looking at the Kaaba as worship and said that as long as the Kaaba is standing, the religion will be stable. Over time, the Kaaba became a pagoda from a monotheistic temple. But after the conquest of Mecca, the Prophet of Islam destroyed the idols of the Kaaba. Regarding the reason for naming the Kaaba, 2 reasons have been mentioned. The house of God is square in shape, and the Arabs refer to this name as a square house. Kaaba in the word means height. The building of the Kaaba is called by this name because of its height from the ground. The first Qibla of the Muslims was Bayt al-Maqdis until a verse was revealed in Medina and the order was given to change the Qibla towards the Kaaba, and the Kaaba became the Qibla of the Muslims. It is necessary for every Muslim to face the Kaaba while praying. In performing Hajj, one should circumambulate the Kaaba. Kaaba is considered as Qibla and assigned to direct the whole existence of man towards God. The value of the Kaaba is that it was built in the name of monotheism and has a superhuman great religious value, and that is because it was built in the name of a thought, monotheism. It was built by a human and he is the founder of monotheism. 5 years before the Prophet of Islam, there was a flood in Mecca and the Kaaba was destroyed. According to some reports, the Kaaba caught fire and was destroyed. The Kaaba did not have a roof before that. After the flood and the destruction of the Kaaba, Quraysh tried to rebuild it and built a roof and gutters for it. They reported that the wall that Ibrahim built for the Kaaba was about 4.5 meters, and they said that the height of the wall of the Kaaba reached about 9 meters during the reconstruction of the Quraysh. In 64 A.H. the Zubayrs clashed with the Umayyads, and in this battle, the Kaaba was seriously damaged. Abdullah bin Zubair, despite the opposition of some companions, removed the remaining wall of the Kaaba from the foundation and built it again. In the reconstruction, he increased the height of the Kaaba to about 13.5 meters. He built the door of the Kaaba, which was raised about 2 meters from the ground by Quraysh, on the ground, and there are 2 roofs for the Kaaba. Ibn Zubair also left 2 doors for the Kaaba, one for entering and one for exiting. After Ibn Zubair was killed, Hajjaj bin Yusuf restored many of Ibn Zubair's changes. In 1039 a great flood occurred in Mecca. The water entered the Masjid al-Haram and destroyed the walls of the Kaaba. Finally, they tore down the remaining walls and rebuilt the house of God. The report of this flood and its reconstruction was written by Mullah Zayn al-Abdin Kashani, one of the Shia scholars at that time, who himself was a worker in this reconstruction, in a small treatise called Mu'fari Rahatu al-Anam fi Astana Baytullah al-Haram. After the rebuilding of the Kaaba in 1040 only repairs and restorations have been made on it. The most important of these repairs was the restoration of the outer walls of the Kaaba, which began in 1414 and ended in 1415 It was implemented in 1417 In this plan, in addition to the restoration of various parts inside the Kaaba, the columns and the roof of the Kaaba were completely removed and rebuilt. The outer parts of the Kaaba. Black stone. Hajar al-Aswad is a holy stone installed on the wall of the Kaaba, from which Tawaf begins and ends. Tenant and obligee. Mustajar is a part of the western wall of God's house, which is placed in the wall behind the Kaaba. The tenant is located near Ran Yemeni and opposite God's house. The wall of the Kaaba, which was opened for Fatima bint Asad, the mother of Imam Ali, and she entered it to give birth to Ali, has been considered rented. Mulzam has been considered in one sense to be a part of the wall of the Kaaba between the black stone and in the Kaaba, and in another sense, it has been used as a synonym for tenant. The door of the Kaaba. The door of the Kaaba is located on the eastern wall of the Kaaba, and in Shia traditions, it is recommended to pray when reaching it. Shazarvan. Shazarwan is a short projection around the wall of the Kaaba, which exists on the other 3 sides of the Kaaba, except in the Hijra Ismail section. Famous Shia jurists have considered this projection to be part of the Kaaba, and the person performing Tawaf should perform Tawaf outside of it. Gold gutter. A gold gutter on top of the northern wall of the Kaaba, which pours the water on the roof into the area of Hijra Ismail. It has been recommended to pray under this gutter and it has been answered. Kaaba curtain. Covering the Kaaba has been considered as one of the traditions with a long and important history, and one of the important positions in the Jahili period was the veiling of the Kaaba. The cover of the Kaaba had different colors. This curtain was sometimes with white cloth, sometimes with green cloth, and sometimes with yellow color until it became black in the era of Al-Nasir Abbasi, and from then on, it remained the same color. The curtain of the Kaaba was mostly prepared in Egypt and Syria, and in a few cases, it was prepared by some other regions, including Iranians. Today, this curtain is prepared in a workshop in Saudi Arabia. Inside the Kaaba did not have a roof at the beginning of its construction, and in the 5th year before the Prophet, during the reconstruction, Quraysh built a roof for it, which had 6 columns in 2 rows of 3. In the rebuilding of the Kaaba by Ibn Zubair, the 6 pillars became 3 pillars, and today only 3 pillars remain. Bab al-Tawbah. Inside the Kaaba. Inside the Kaaba, there is a small room with a staircase to go to the roof of the Kaaba. This chamber has a small door called the Door of Repentance. This door is made of gold. Since ancient times, tribes, clans and kings sent gifts to be installed inside the Kaaba. There was also a well around the Kaaba where the gifts were placed. This well was destroyed during the reconstruction of the Kaaba by Quraysh. Important events. Birth of Imam Ali. Imam Ali was born inside the Kaaba. Some Sunni sources have also reported this incident. Installation of the black stone by the Prophet. 5 years before the Prophet of Islam, a flood occurred in Mecca and destroyed the Kaaba. After the flood and destruction of Kaaba, Quraysh tried to rebuild it. During the reconstruction, each tribe wanted to install black stone. The dispute intensified, and finally, with the suggestion of Prophet Muhammad, the stone was placed in a garment, and the surrounding area was entrusted to the leaders of Quraysh. Abraham, the ruler of Yemen, attacked Mecca in 571 AD with the intention of destroying the Kaaba. When they reached there, by a divine miracle, birds from the sky rained stones on them and destroyed Abraham's army. Following Abdullah bin Zubair's refusal to pledge allegiance to Yazid, an army under the command of Hussein bin Namir went to Mecca to fight him. He reached Mecca in the month of Muharram in 64 AH, and in Rabi al-Awwal of the same year, they attacked Ibn Zubair's army with a catapult, and in this attack, the Kaaba was seriously damaged. In Dhul Hijjah 317 AH, Qarmishans attacked Mecca. They removed the black stone from the Kaaba and took it with them, and in 339 AH, they returned it to the Kaaba in exchange for a payment. Thank you for being with me until the end of the clip. If you used this clip and you also love tourist places, don't forget to like and subscribe. Wait for my next clip.